This is Andy Purewal for ID Boxing. I'm joined by Fabio Wardley over Zoom. Fabio, firstly, congratulations on your victory this past weekend. Walk me through your performance, your win, and yeah, getting your hand raised once again.
Yeah, good. Overall, I was happy with the performance, to be honest. Initially, when I came out of the ring, and that I didn't feel too happy with it. But I've watched it back once since I've spoken to my team and stuff, and actually, I'm actually a lot happier with it than I thought I was initially. It was a mature performance, controlled the fight, had control of all the situations. Did everything right in kind of negative situations for myself and got myself out of them and went back to the base of work or what I should have been doing. So overall, yeah, I was really happy with it. Probably my biggest critique of myself was the finish. Just myself, I didn't really enjoy it that much. I felt it was a bit rushed. I think I got a bit overzealous, got a bit kind of sucked into because that was my first real chance of getting some consistent success that I kind of doubled down on it in a situation where maybe I should have pulled off slightly and kind of started again. But either way, win's a win.
The finish has obviously been a talking point on the back of a fight, Fabio. Even though it looked like it was only really going one way at the time, some people felt it was maybe a little early from the referee to jump in and stop it. Do you feel like that's a justified point from anybody who's felt that?
Yeah, I can understand why they may have that as a point or may have some a point of contention there. I can understand it. I get it. It is what it is. Unfortunately, I threw a lot of punches and they were pretty much all unanswered. So it leaves the ref with minimal options really. Although Kofi may be okay, he may not. He may be riding them well. I can't imagine the ref knows him personally. Has watched millions of his fights, so knows how well he can take a shot or how well he can ride a shot. But ultimately, your job as a boxer as well is to show to the ref that you're in the fight, that you're there, you're coherent, you're still firing back, and you're still doing the job. So it's it is like I say, it's a point of contention, but ultimately, like you said, the fight was only really going one way. I don't think even if the ref kind of gave me a standing count or let him carry on or whatever else, it's not like he was then just about to turn the fight around on me and completely take control because, like I say, I had control of all the rounds before then.
One thing which I think people would have been interested to see, boys. I mean, that barrage of punches before the ref jumped in, wasn't necessarily every punch was landing clean. So I think people would have liked to have seen how you would have fared if maybe say a couple of rounds time as to how much energy that specific period would have taken out of you.
Yeah, definitely. It would have been an interesting thing, not just for the fans, but for myself as well. Because don't get me wrong, I've gone the rounds, I've gone through crazy bursts like that in sparring, and pulled off and carried on, and did 5, 6, 7, 8 rounds afterwards as well. So I know I can do it in that sense. Whether it transfers over to a fight or the pressure with the build up, the adrenaline, whatever else, is obviously still a question mark. But I was confident. I didn't feel massively out of breath or completely gone. We train. It's a credit to my S&C team, Danny Wilson, Boxing Science, that we train at really high intensities, short bursts, bring it down, and then straight back to a high intensity again. So I'm used to kind of peaking, controlling my breath, and bringing it down again, and then peaking again. So it's not something I'm familiar with.
Fabio, you move forwards though. You have your hand raised once again. 15 straight knockouts. Just keep adding to it.
Yeah, it's not bad, is it? It's not bad. And early nights all the way through, which is pretty good for me. I'm quite enjoying it. So like came out of the fight unscathed as well, no marks, no bruises. I've gone through harder sparring sessions than that really. So it's always good. So I feel good, feel fit, feel healthy and ready to roll again, to be honest.
Race roll again, and you've had David Adeleye turn up to the press conference last week. You've had Frazer Clarke calling for the fight with yourself most recently when he was out on March 25th on the Coley card. Do you think he has to be one of those guys next in terms of defending your British title, or are you still looking at other options?
I'm always looking at all options. Like I say, it's not just about one option because we've learned our lesson really at the start of the year that we our plan was the fight I just had was meant to be a British title defense. We wasn't able to make it for a variety of reasons. We asked a variety of people, and they had their own excuses, if you want to call them that, whatever else. So we can't always have just a plan A. I've got a plan B, C. Hence why now we've got hold of the WBA Continental. That gives me a different route. I can also go Commonwealth and European. That's another route as well, and still leaves the British there for an option as well. So I'm in the driving seat with all these situations. I've got control. I can decide what I want to do with my career, and I can decide if I want to give these guys the opportunity or not, to be honest.
Do you want to give them an opportunity?
Exactly, I do. Yeah, definitely. As long as they're easy to work with, as long as there's no drama queens and no fussing and faffing, and they want to just get the fight on and take their opportunity. Like, they have to remember, I'm the champ. I'm the one that you're coming after. You're calling my name for a reason. So I don't need to hear no extras of I want this and I want that and it has to be this and it has to be that. I want it to be, I'll fight you. Let me know when, let me know where, and we can get it sorted.
You are the champion, so I'd imagine you'd have a slightly bigger say if it will when negotiations, if they do come about, were to take place. One thing that we did see was, when David Adeleye turned up at the press conference, he said it had to take place on BT. Obviously, Frazer Clarke's working with Boxer and Sky Sports. As Eddie said, that if, say, one of those promotional outfits or broadcasters came with a better offer than what Eddie could offer, would he be open to allowing you to go to their platforms?
It's not something we've discussed in detail as of yet, to be honest. Ed's a good guy. I don't think he'd hold me back from kind of progressing my career like that. But ultimately, I'm on the zone. I'm the champion, so there should be no reason, Riley, why I have to go do the bouncing around. I don't know why I need to go and be the away fighter when I'm the champ, when you're the one asking for the fight from me. Because ultimately, as well, across the board of all of them, they haven't actually done anything to deserve fighting for a British title. They're all 5, 6, 7, 8 fights, maybe against mostly unknown names. There's no one of any note worth on any of their records at all. So I don't get why I would have to be the one to chase them and follow them to their platform. It would be, you come to mine and you earn your stripes, and I'm doing you a favor by giving you this opportunity.
If it was to say be one of David Adeleye or Frazer Clarke, who would you rather it be?
I think the best fight for me is the Frazer Clarke one. Yeah,
So,
I think the David Adeleye fight is a lot easier than the Frazer Clarke fight. I think I'd run through that one pretty quickly. Whereas Frazer, I have to give him credit to his pedigree and where he's been. He's been around a long time, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he's an old man, but he's at the back end of kind of his years in terms of boxing and stuff. So he's wise, he knows his stuff. So I think it would be a trickier fight, more to figure out. He's a bigger guy as well. So there's more mass there in the ring, but ultimately I believe in myself and think I can get him out of there.
you've always, since the pair of you have opened up and spoken about potentially fighting each other, there's always been kind of little back and forth, nothing malicious, just kind of banter, if you will, or openness to talk about the fight. Even just before I came on here, I saw on Twitter you were both engaging in a little conversation where talk about your interview just with Talk Sport, and Fraser saying that it's the only jabs that you'll get in on him if you were to fight. Just walk me through kind of a potential rivalry there and how much it does actually excite you.
Yeah, it does. I enjoy him. I enjoy him more when they're like this as well. When it's back and forth and there's a bit to build and there's a little bit between the teeth, but also between me and Fraser, there's an underline of respect. And we're not, neither of us, I don't think, are the type of guys to go effing and blinding and screaming in front of a camera and shouting off this and that and start getting personal with insults and whatever else. Like, whatever playful little jokes we throw at each other on Twitter is all good fun, is all in the love of the sport, and is all in building the fight. It's all part of the process. Like, I don't take anything personally. I don't take no offense to it. I actually love it. I sit there pissing myself on Twitter all the time when I come back with stupid little tweets or little laughs and jokes and stuff. I enjoy it. So it's all good for the sport and all good for building the fight.
Just moving forwards and away from yourself and Fabio and that potential fight there, just get your thoughts on the headline event. Anthony Joshua, Jermaine Franklin. What did you make of AJ in his victory?
Yeah, it was good. It was a it was a good performance, but it's sad because I think it felt underwhelming because of, but I think that's more so because of the build up, because of the hype, because it was AJ's homecoming, because he was back at the O2, he's kind of home away from home as well, and everyone just had that expectation of, oh, he's just going to get rid of him in kind of 6 rounds or so. It's very similar, to be honest, to how the Dillian Whyte fight went. That I think with Franklin, because he's such an unknown and he's such a quite a quiet guy as well, doesn't say too much. He's physically, like aesthetically, he doesn't look like AJ. He's not kind of a Greek god built way. So you just kind of think, he's going to get rolled over in a few rounds. But he always rises to the occasion, always puts a great performance on for himself and gets stuck in. So I think Franklin deserves a lot of credit for making it a hard fight for AJ. But I do think he clearly won. I think that was obvious. But I think just in the fashion and kind of what we expected for this to be his comeback fight and then kick on, I just think we expected a little bit more.
You've just quite summed it up very well there, Fabio. And I've seen a few people within the sport, whether it be ex-fighters, pundits, commentators, what have you, all kind of suggesting we haven't seen that basically back to the aggressive nature of Anthony Joshua. One we saw pre-Klitschko, some people have started to suggest now because of how up and down the Klitschko fight was. And do you think that we won't necessarily see that version again? The Anthony Joshua who will be aggressive, will throw those devastating 3-4 punch combinations, which we'd gotten used to seeing up until and just after the Klitschko fight.
Yeah, like I think that's the hope, isn't it? That's what we want to see. And the fact we're not getting it is the bit where we're like, oh, well, this is not as good as we expected. But look, maybe this is the change of AJ. Maybe this is the new AJ, and we kind of just have to accept that this is now his style. He's not the AJ of before. Obviously, he's with a different changer, or he's changed trainers a few times now, but he seems in a solid place with his new one. So maybe that's what they're trying to implement on him. That look, when you was fighting like that before, it did work in instances, but also you left yourself open to getting caught quite a bit, and that's where you came unstuck. So maybe let's remove that, add something new in that keeps you kind of a bit safer, but also you can still pounce, shoot sharp right hands like you were in the fight, and still get the KO. Not rushing it, but just taking it when it comes.
Fabio, just kind of sticking with him, you're not only a fighter, you're a heavyweight yourself, so you understand kind of just how tough and devastating those punches can be in that weight class. Do you feel like there is that kind of mental side to Anthony Joshua, which has been lost, almost like he's too scared of what's coming back at him? It's another point I've seen people raise.
Yeah, he did throughout that fight, and probably it's been a weird one because it's kind of been since the Ruiz fight. He's looked a bit, it sounds harsh to say, but a bit sheepish when attacks are coming back. He always looks a bit nervous, a bit unstable. He doesn't look so comfortable when he's getting backed up, when his opponent's letting off a combination of shots, high and low. He doesn't really kind of lock down and defend. I see him a lot of time when shots come. He really lifts his elbow up high to try and block the shots instead of kind of just buckling down and absorbing it and getting through that moment and then getting back to his basics. So yeah, that is a point of contention, but I guess I'm just me. Like I can expect that his new coach has definitely assessed those things, pointed those out, and it takes time to work things out. I know that myself. Like coming off my performance, which was a lot more mature, a lot more controlled, as opposed to how I fought before in the past. That's due to me working with Ben, which I've been doing now for about a year and a half. So it takes time to implement those things and get those kind of regular patterns in your brain.
In terms of what could be next for him, who would you like to see him next? I know it'd be easy for you to say Dillian as he's your manager, but outside of that, do you think maybe he's only Dillian, or is there anybody else out there you'd like to see AJ step in with?
Yeah, I think for me, the most obvious one and the one I'd like to see for a variety of reasons is the Dillian Whyte fight. I think it makes the most sense. Both of them coming off a win to Franklin, but both on slightly underwhelming wins from Franklin. And both of them obviously still want to be in them top kind of two or three, four guys. So to get there, I think they need to kind of duel it out themselves and decide on who's going to be the one to move forward.
Just one other thought I want to get your thoughts on, Fabio. We've seen today the WBA, sorry, have officially ordered for talks to begin
Who?
with.
Who
WBA,
was it?
the
The what?
WBA have ordered
These guys.
that one. um, they've officially ordered for talks to begin between Alexander Usyk and Daniel Dubois. Just your thoughts, if Daniel was to step in, come to terms, agree a deal there. You rate his chances. Does he have a chance against Alexander Usyk?
He definitely has a chance. He hits very, very hard. So he definitely has a chance. But uh, Usyk, I think, without being too harsh, I think Daniel is a lower level kind of AJ, and I think that you saw on obviously it's obvious that you saw that Usyk dealt with him on 2 occasions. So for then Daniel to step with him, maybe he's a bit younger, maybe he's a bit fresher, and maybe he'll offer something a bit different. But I just think Usyk's too smart and will be too much.
All right, Fabio, we'll leave that there now because I know you've got some packing to do ahead of your trip to Italy. So it's always a pleasure to catch up with you. Thank you for speaking to me in ID Boxing. Congratulations once again on the past weekend.
Cheers, Andy. Catch you in a bit, mate.